Hi, Beth.
Hi,
Nice to see
Susanne.
you again. So this is our second conversation, and really looking forward to our topic because, and it's enlivening actually, because what we have just decided to enter into is the conversation on the shadow and within humanity, and what also some people call evil, what could be termed as evil, because evil and good, there are these polarities that exist. So I don't hear much talk spoken about it in this kind of conversation in the spiritual world that we inhabit together here. And I have a quote by a gospel taken from the Gospel of Thomas, and it's just a delicious quote. You're going to love it.
Already
Okay.
all primed.
Yeah. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. Wow. So
And I have to say, don't you know that's true?
it I know it in my own life.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know it in my own life. And I think um, I think it's what's happening on the planet in general. And I thought we could interweave also just not necessarily political stuff, but just more the nuts and bolts of that there's so much suffering and chaos and apparent even evil taking place where a few people are destroying thousands and thousands of lives, and where we're denigrating and destroying the environment.
exactly.
So yeah, what are like let's explore this. What are some of your thoughts? Let's start with you said something kind of provocative before we started, and you said, I'll tell you something. Do you remember what that was?
That I don't believe there is such a thing
Yeah,
as.
yeah, yeah. Can you explain to me what you mean?
I'll speak a little bit about not surprising. I think many of us have asked that question all through our lives. I don't know how you could live on this planet where everything is constantly changing and there is so much suffering. So much suffering. I don't know if you're at all conscious, if you're at all seeking to know something more than the everyday life. It seems to me that my asking myself that question, it was not unusual.
Mm.
What is happening here? What are we doing to each other and why are we doing it? And what is this?
When did you start really looking into it?
I would say probably in my 20s when
Yeah.
I when I really got serious about healing, and I
Mm.
looked back at my childhood and I couldn't make heads or tails for how
Right.
it seemed so cruel and so inhumane and like.
Let me just interject, just for those who are interested, that we have a video, a first video together where Beth speaks a little bit about that, about her childhood, your childhood, and the major shadow at work that was happening that created so much trauma
Exactly,
for a little
exactly,
girl, for you.
for me. And
Yeah.
so, in addition to needing enormous healing, it was always the question of, is there evil?
Yeah.
And if there is, what is evil? And if there is, where does it come from?
Yeah. Okay. Let's break it down. Is there evil? And if there is, then what is it?
Yeah.
And where does it come from? So what, let's just make a supposition that there is evil for a moment.
Okay.
Where would it come from?
Well, you tell me since it's your supposition, because
Yeah.
I see it
The
differently.
only place that it could come from is um something being so in the lack of awareness of itself that it's like the fallen angel that is just so fallen, like so-called Satan, whatever. The fallen angel that is in self-forgetting. Because you and I both, we know that everything is made of one whole. But
Exactly.
that doesn't mean that there isn't something that is completely in the shadow, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Something
Cos-
can,
Cosmically,
I think that it's, as far as I know, it's a human being thing, but it could be broader, that there are other realities and beings who are lost,
yeah.
you know, in forgetfulness to the
Mhm.
point where, there's a lack of awareness of the heart and of the light that we are and of our interconnection.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, but no, since there's not two things going on in the sense that it's all made from one whole, one organic whole. But within it, there's all these different,
Yeah.
polarity of light and dark within it.
Well, there's darkness in everything, isn't there? I mean, there's certainly darkness in us.
Right, right.
Yeah. And I wish I could remember, it's not coming to me, but I know Carl Jung struggled with this quite a bit. He really looked for the dark side of God,
Yeah.
wondered through a lot of writing whether in fact God had a dark side, you know? And so I can only say from my own life,
Yeah.
my own experience, it has appeared to me that it's pretty much man-made, human-made.
Human made. Yeah.
Made. That's the experience. And I've not only experienced that, I not only know the profundity of doing shadow work, the effect it has, not only in our own lives, but in the collective world.
Mm.
So um, I'm very, um, I, I think it behooves us to do shadow work, to say the least. And when I've looked further to see if in fact, like what's in awareness, can I see anything dark? I don't. I see nothing dark.
Mm.
So it could be my limitation, but as far as I can see, even what's happening on the planet right now, it just makes so much sense to me that we are watching a projection. We are literally watching the projection of cruelty, inhumanity
Hmm.
being.
Hmm.
Um,
A
and
projection from what?
I think it's a projection right now. I think it's coming out of the collective,
Mm.
but I think it comes out of us individually. I
Sure.
mean, as I've watched for all these decades about the world,
Yeah.
and I've watched protest marches for decades. Decades. I have been in protest marches and I have been watching them.
Yeah.
And something seems different now. I don't feel the protest marches now people are not angry. They are angry, but they are not necessarily for the whole. Not that there are not individuals, but for the whole, the sense I have is that people are coming out with a great deal more kindness and care for each other.
Mm.
And I am outraged and I'm going to be louder than all the cruelty in the world and I'm going to be, like, get back. Seems different.
Mm.
Seems different. And, in my better days, I think, well, we've had a lot of years to pay close attention to the darkness and to our shadows.
And yet we have this dark, dark shadow coming out in the expression of different authoritative leaders around the planet who are causing immense amount of damage and suffering. So it's like, that's talk about polarity of light and dark. If people are becoming, maybe that's it's almost like the extreme of what's being denied is
Mm.
being revealed through these individual forces, um, and maybe less revealed through the collective
Hmm.
in general. The collective in general, maybe there, as you said, that maybe there's a softening,
Yeah.
maybe there's a tempering, but
Yeah.
then the boil
Yeah.
of what's denied in the human consciousness in general is boiling up within these individual forces.
Yeah.
In Sanskrit, there's something called asuras.
Hmm.
These are negative forces, energies, asuric energies that they actually talk about light and dark energies, in even in the Bhagavad Gita and like in like these ancient texts, Upanishads and so on, they talk in Tibetan Buddhism also. You have these tankas with these fierce beings,
Right.
and it's sort of archetypal energies and
Hmm.
metaphors for but what we contain within.
Hmm.
And just because maybe it's not being acted out by the the predominant collective, we have our regular amount of shadow and material to work with and pain body and so on, but just these dramatic representations of what's out of alignment
Exactly.
is is dramatic. So Carl Jung, I have a quote here that you probably know very well. Everybody carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual conscious life, the blacker and denser it is.
And the other thing he said that goes along with that is that we go through periods where the opposites just go into extreme, 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 extreme. And that for any kind of transformation to happen, the opposites have to get really extreme.
Mm,
And what you just described is the extremity of what we're living in. So
mm,
yes, like look at Minneapolis and how much they're caring for them, each other, themselves. And then you look at the cruelty that we're experiencing and the amount, the um, it's unimaginable to me the amount of killing that is going on.
right,
So
right. With and it's somehow sanctioned by certain countries and individuals. There's like other,
completely,
it's sanctioned in other places it's not, but it's like we can't even get our stories straight of what is considered inhumane.
we don't. In fact, you know what? Frankly, we don't talk about it. We get so caught up in like who's right and who's wrong that I don't hear a lot about lives lost or starving people. I don't hear. I
No,
mean,
we don't. We've lost touch of like this. Oh my God. Yeah. So it's something that I've heard, is that there's this very small percentage, maybe 1%. I don't know what the percentage is of individuals on the planet who do not have an empathy gene.
wow.
And without empathy, imagine. It's
Well, we
not
don't have
just
to imagine.
it's not just extreme narcissism, which and all these things that can make you have personality disorder and you know um all these like psychopathic traits.
Exactly.
But there's also something that can be missing, and maybe they have all of them, but they're missing empathy. And if you look at like the primary people who are running the show, including some of the billionaires who are just with the AI coming out, which has a big potential, as we know, for darkness, bringing a lot of darkness and difficulties to people and to one another, to the planet. Those that are often in creation of all these different kind of world altering kind of paradigms,
Mm.
don't they? If you look at them, you kind of wonder, do they even have empathy? How could they even propose something like this, knowing what amount of suffering it's going to cause?
It's someone else.
And so someone may say, and I would have to wonder, like, well, is that evil then?
Is that what? Sorry.
That's evil. Could that be evil?
Uh,
What all those things combined, lack
uh,
of empathy,
yeah.
um, the carrying a very dense shadow, obviously. Um, Maybe psychopathy. Uh,
Absolutely.
and power and this ability to have an immense amount of power, however they create it. It certainly tips over into the scale of this polarity of something we call good and evil. And what emerges out of it is a very black, very dark, dense shadow. Um, at the same time, even then, I can talk about it and I still don't feel like it's separate from us. That's part of the darn awakening, the non-dual awakening.
Right, right. Let's see if this fits into what you
Yeah.
just. Um, I've actually thought quite a bit about this, and I'm going to have to give you a little context to give you a sense of where I'm coming from.
Sure.
So, one of the things that seems to be, let me put it another way. I look at the people who are doing all that you're talking about without empathy, without seemingly a shred, not a shred of awareness or concern or care about what it's doing to anybody else.
Right.
And in my experience, the best thing you can do for a person like that is to call a stop to it.
Mm.
And the thing that is so interesting to me is because I can make a very strong case for even the people who are doing all of this, they are better off being stopped. They are not in good shape doing this. It's not good for them. I get the short-term power, I get the short-term greed, I get the short-term king of the hill, I get all that.
Mm.
But deep down, this is not good. And so I have this sense of, I have no idea if it can happen. I have no idea how it would happen, but you have enough collective that's coming from a place of genuine benevolence.
Mm-hmm.
It says, stop. Just stop.
Mm. Mm.
We're not doing this any longer.
Mm.
And I think one of the things about, and this is in my experience, I think one of the things about a word as big, intense, and strong as evil is that it leaves most of us feeling like there's nothing we can do about it.
Mm.
It's too big.
Mm.
It's
Like,
too
how do you
over.
fight evil if evil really exists, we're disempowered?
That's the feeling. If you think about our history, the feeling is evil is stronger than good.
Mm.
Until you know differently, until you've had the actual experience that love is bigger than it all. But the word itself, the word cruelty, the word evil, the word pathology, the word
Mm.
not empathic, it's like, and they're in charge and they are bullying the entire world.
Mm.
And so the experience is that so many people I talk to, it's just like everybody goes, oh,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
And it seems like the exact opposite is what's being needed right now.
Mm.
Well, at any time, I suspect
Mm.
at any time, but
Mm-hmm.
really dramatically right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there were these movements. Remember, I don't remember where they came, whether it was the First World War or the Second World War. Remember when the women said to the men, we won't have sex with you anymore unless you stop having war?
No, I don't remember that.
Okay, somewhere along the
I
line,
like it though.
right? That was
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
And so many women are talking these days about what does it mean to be fully in your being,
Mm.
saying, no,
Mm.
stop. Like surround this whole thing and just say, stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, something's going to have to, sanity has to prevail.
Right.
And while all the things that you mentioned are happening, right? With we don't have to label, whether we label it or not, it's happening. The shadow is at work. Darkness is at work. I like when you were first talking about like some it needs to stop. I
Yeah.
just felt like we need it's like what I felt was like, they need a good spanking. I mean, that's what I was like, oh wow, yeah. Beth,
Exactly. Exactly. No, you can't do that.
no, you can't do that, you big bad baby.
Exactly. Truly.
Time out.
Time
Time
out.
out and no more damage can be done there. No more, it's not even just time out, but gone, oh, it's done. Over. Yeah.
I keep interrupting you. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Did you?
I don't even notice. You have a
Uh,
lot to say about it. That's okay.
I didn't even know that because you just brought the subject up, but
Yeah.
it's like so. There's a lot to it. Um, so I take it a step further when I say that it's good for the person to stop, and
Yeah.
oh my God, it is so good for the whole collective. It's good for God. It's just good for all of life.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
how nature operates.
Yeah.
So, but it's like I take it even a step further. Like take any one of the characters you want to name, any one of them that is in the heading, like just making this.
We know who they are. Everybody here knows who they are.
So I think to myself, wow, if like one of the persons I'm thinking of, if he actually lost the ability to speak
Yeah.
for like 10 years
Uh-huh.
and couldn't communicate for about 10 years, I think, wouldn't that do his soul such good?
Yeah, and maybe you're just a nicer person than I am because I don't even think about that one soul, honestly. I'm like, it'll just do us a bunch of good.
No, but I think it's better for all of us if his soul is in better shape as well. I do.
Yeah, I mean,
We're in it together.
yeah. I mean, on my good days.
Yeah, you got me on a good day. You got
Yeah, on my good days.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, I don't think that anyone is no, what do I feel, honestly? It's not up to me. It's like the karma that beings create is its own thing. It's like I don't ever wish harm on anyone because it's never, I know it's not up to me. Karma is a karma.
Yeah, no.
So there's bardos upon bardos, realms upon realms of rubber band action of you reap what you sow. And so I don't have to wish anything on anyone. But for the well-being of the whole and Mother Earth, I'm totally in alignment with you that and I felt this before that we are that we're waiting for in terms of saying enough. It's like part of us are a bit in this passive kind of like childlike, role of okay, there's the archetype of good and evil, and then something comes and saves you. The heavens part,
Yes.
the Mother Marys and the Christs and the Buddhas and whatever you believe in come and the aliens or whatever are going to come and save us from ourselves when in fact it's us that have to save ourselves from ourselves and say enough, basta.
Exactly.
Take away the toys, the voice, the hands that can not the hands,
Yeah.
but the ability to do any harm
Right.
and for people to just say enough, to rise up and say enough. And like you said earlier, which I have also witnessed, it seems like there's less anger, which isn't, I don't think it's necessarily we've become passive and collapsing only because that's, some people are feeling sort of collapsed. But I think there's been a tempering of
Yeah,
our nature to saying, no, that's not, we don't want that, but we can do it in a way that is strong without it being creating division. It can be strong and say no, right?
exactly.
And that's something that I've been sitting with lately, Beth, is really for my own well-being, and maybe it's something that would be a lovely prayer group to hold, is sitting with a profound enough, this is enough. Or no, that's enough. Stop. Just enough.
Exactly. Exactly.
No more. We're not participating anymore with anything except saying no.
No, no. And that includes clearing things out within our own selves and growing up ourselves so that there is not the vestige of violence or shadow within ourselves. So that when we come to the no, it's not a resistant no, it's not an angry no, it's a firm no.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, this has to stop.
Right. Right. You know how unconditional love acts with when you're a parent, for instance, and you tell your child, no, we're not doing that right now.
Yes.
We're not going to use this bat to hit your little brother with. Take
Exactly.
away the bat.
Exactly.
And it isn't when that unconditional love is moving through, it's just that's not what we're doing.
But I do think it is what's being called for. And it's one thing like to be faced with the times we're faced with. Wouldn't that be something if it's an
Yeah.
opportunity for us to do just what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. What would be, I'm not saying as a movement or anything. I'm just saying what would be, can you fill it out for us a bit, the language, like the no.
No. Well, because I haven't thought about it before, I'm going to start with
Yeah.
Minneapolis because I am very moved by what they did because their
Yeah.
protest was not just a no and a kind no, but they formed these communities where they went and bought groceries for people who were terrified to leave their homes.
Yeah.
They went and got and brought people to safe places. I mean, they really went out of their way.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a template, an inspiration for how, in fact, we can say no in a caring kind of way.
Mm,
And if you take Minneapolis, I don't know what it would look like
mm,
for the whole world, or perhaps it doesn't have to be the whole world. Perhaps if we're even just aware, as you and I are speaking now, of the power of that kind of love, the power of that kind of unconditional love from each of us
mm,
with that kind of no,
mm,
I suspect if enough people were focusing that way, it
mm,
would show up.
mm.
It would, the how would show up
Yeah, the no is the how would be we're not playing.
at all.
We're not playing, and that we're way more than they are. But
Exactly.
we're not playing. Our no is just I'm not playing along anymore.
And visibly,
Yeah. Yeah, just not playing along anymore.
loudly.
Yeah. Huh. Well, putting it out there, little balloons.
It really,
Mm,
I mean, on a very personal level, it's so funny because when we're having this conversation, I'm remembering when my youngest grandson was maybe 2, 3, and my daughter-in-law was across the street, and he ran out into the street to go with her, and she screamed at him to stop,
yeah.
stop. So he did stop. She got gathers him up in her arms. He is sobbing and he is so mad at her. And he says, "You scared me."
Mm.
She says, "I meant to.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
wanted you to stop."
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why we have these kind of representations in like the dark goddess, like Kali, and with off with the head, like there's a part of the divine of what we are made of. We're made of the divine that just says enough,
Exactly.
enough illusion, ignorance,
Yes. Yes.
it off, it's enough.
It's enough.
Not playing anymore this game. This is illusion. This is over. Cut off the head of this ignorance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love this, Susanna. I think we're on to something.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we're coming down to the wisdom of what knows how to make things whole, to come back to wholeness.
Hmm.
How
Hmm.
does wholeness wake up to itself?
Exactly.
You know,
Doesn't wholeness include everything, including this?
it integrates the darkness, right?
Off with the head.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it includes the no, and because I mean, the thing is that there's something in us that knows better, and
Yeah.
it's sort of almost like waiting to be accessed
Mhm.
with the truth voice, like
Mhm.
within this reality, the absolute nature of truth in this kind of dimension of our reality is that it wants to be spoken, it wants to be honored.
So, what would you be speaking? What would you be honoring?
Well, making a video like this is not, it's not for the faint of heart, like your book. It's not for the faint of heart to just come out and just do what you can. And it would be practicing one's own truth telling in general. Like you said, it's on an individual level too. It's something that I still practice,
Yeah.
is living as truthfully as possible,
Me too.
honoring what I know to be true, and straightening the course when I deviate a bit. And
Yeah.
you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that deviation getting so narrow that there's not even, there's nothing. It's so uncomfortable to be out of alignment. It's so uncomfortable. So that happens more quickly.
Yeah. And we're, something that you and I have become, and maybe some people listening here right now have become familiar with being uncomfortable, that to not turn away from being uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
right now, and because oftentimes we've been taught that being uncomfortable means there's something wrong. But yeah, it's a little bell that says, look, but oftentimes people turn away from being uncomfortable, which creates more shadow and more, you know, what the darkness internally. Um, but right now, as a collective, we're deeply uncomfortable, or deeply uncomfortable. Another word would be there's anxiety and tension and stress,
Fear.
but it's also a wake up bell, right?
That's what it looks like to me.
Hmm.
Honest.
Yeah.
It's like shook, just shook, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And why would it be different on the collective than it is on the individual? So if you lose it's sort of like the destruction, the suffering wakes us up personally. Why not have the same thing why would it not be the same thing on the collective level?
Yeah.
Like we are in the midst of profound loss, unimaginable loss.
Some people might even say soul loss.
Say more.
Just that if soul is something that exists in order to help us evolve,
Hmm.
and its goal is for each one of us to, over time, become as awake, consciously aware as possible
Mhm.
here, and loving, and embodied with what understanding of what's true. Then soul loss would be the collapsing of that, where it gets narrower and smaller and less. I'm not saying that it's gone, but as a collective, we're in a struggle.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
We're in a struggle of um yeah, it is almost like this typical forces of light and darkness within ourselves,
Within ourselves.
you know.
And as you speak about it this way, it's like I can feel like the courage that's needed in the collective,
Yeah.
not lose the soul,
Yeah. Not
not
lose the
lose,
soul.
no, like you said, it is not for the faint of heart. It's not, it requires going through a lot of fire.
And it's not just right, it's not just the individual soul. I feel like we're like this multifaceted diamond, giant, multifaceted crystal. And each of the facets is a soul, a bit of the one whole, like collective soul. We're
Nice.
one whole with individual parts. And because what division has done, what believing in ourselves to be separate from our own nature, from one another, from Mother Earth, what it's done is created so much soul loss as a whole, because we've forgotten we're interconnected, you know? And harm can only be done by forgetting that we're actually made of one whole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty poignant time.
Yeah.
Very poignant.
So let's shift to um what we originally thought we were going to talk about today, which was more the embodiment of the humanness. And it segues into it because we were already touching on it, more on the individual level of being with the shadow and working with the shadow. That the quote by Jung, that we all carry a shadow.
Mhm.
And it's not just Jung, it's been throughout time that people have known about this, the wisdom of it, that what we deny is just and resist, it just gets stronger, and it's going to start from in the background. It's going to cause havoc in our lives. It's going to create deep unease and pain. What Eckhart Tolle might say, pain body even. So, how about if we spend the remainder of our time speaking a little bit about this, and about also what can be done? What can one do on the individual level? Some supportive tips, maybe.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to start with the losing your life means gaining it? Isn't
Uh,
that really what you're saying, or did I just make a detour?
I didn't say that. Where did you get that?
You said that was the original.
You mean the Gospel of Thomas?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you bring forth what is within you? What you bring forth. I'll read it again. It's a beautiful one. I think we could do a whole thing just on that. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you.
And isn't that what you just said?
Yeah.
Shadow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Bring forth. So, why don't we make it a little personal? I'll start with you, if you don't mind. Just something you feel good about sharing. What maybe an example that you contained within you that was causing you pain that maybe you weren't even aware of, and then you became aware of it and what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. as soon as you asked me that, the first thing that came to me is that, so I don't know if this is already known to the people who are going to be listening, but I did have long COVID for 3.5 years. And yes, I was physically ill, but I also knew that there was a lot that was knocking on my door to wake up to deeper places that I was not aware of. And one of the things that I probably can't say I was surprised, but I was surprised, was that I had lived most of my life with a mentality of victimization. And it sounds so of course, but what we're really talking about is when you come to a realization like that, that is deep in the cells, it's like one of those breathtaking moments of how I lived with a certain perspective, mentality, and complete orientation in the most subtle way that was operating without me being aware of it. And I bow to long COVID because I don't know, I mean, 3.5 years of being very quiet gives you a lot of information, gave me a lot of information. And that was one of the things. And I think something that's really important about this kind of work is that it's counterintuitive. It feels as if we go close to what feels awful or maybe humiliating or painful, everything says, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. Mm. But the irony is that the closer you go, the more I genuinely understood, genuinely felt for, how could this be any other way? And of course this is true. It actually allows the energy to loosen and dissolve. Whereas the energy is almost like the energy is holding on and saying, you need to know this. Mm. It needs to be back into wholeness. Mm. You're not paying attention here.
And it was probably deeply uncomfortable, right? And that was like the arrows saying, come this way.
And you're going, are you kidding? But actually, I really didn't say that because I by then, knowing the depths of love, it was clear to me and in fact, welcoming to go close and go, oh God, of course. Okay, come on in.
Yeah. So, what was this quote that if you do not bring forth, it will destroy you? In what ways not having brought that forth until, this time period of long COVID, in what ways do you feel like it was sort of destroying you without, in the background or whatever?
In the most subtle way, I felt like I felt like I was helpless. Uh-huh. I felt a level of helplessness way down at the very, very bottom. So like the conversation that you and I just had about that firm, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
That voice has gotten stronger and stronger. That voice was not there. Mm. It simply was not there. It wasn't available.
It was collapsed.
It was collapsed. It was collapsed. And so, I mean, it probably impacted me daily.
Your health too, probably.
Probably my health as well.
I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Energy level, health, relationships. Yeah.
And by encountering it and meeting it, you feel like you're more here, right? You're occupying yourself more.
Completely. So much more so. And my ancestors have room to breathe as well.
Because that was a wound that they carried?
It was so generational.
Yeah.
So again, it was so like just part of the air we breathed. Mm. So it's like, yes, definitely breathing more deeply, definitely have more here-ness.
Yeah, so this victim piece.
Exactly.
Which was had legitimacy to it from your childhood trauma.
and for my collective trauma.
Yeah.
I mean, many of my family were perished in the Holocaust. So
Mm,
it's a collective trauma,
mm,
and before then, there were pogroms. So it's like deep,
mm,
really, really deep.
mm. Yeah. Do you feel like this is another little leap from the personal to the collective? Do you feel like literally having done that, that you could feel, and you mentioned it, your ancestors, like it helps liberate a piece of the shadow for the whole in a way?
It felt that way to me.
Yeah.
No evidence for it, but it felt so deeply true.
Uh-huh.
Ah,
Mm. Yeah.
how many centuries have we been waiting for this?
I believe that. I believe there's something to that, that it's not just we're making stuff up here when these big openings happen. It's we're because of that like multifaceted gem, we're all part of one whole. So we do our individual kind of liberation work, of what we've been given.
Yep,
And I think we do serve one another in that way.
lovely.
Body of the whole,
Yeah.
the collective consciousness.
I remember thinking, I'm taking one for the team, or I took one for the team,
You took one for the team.
happily, happily. And I'm not being Pollyanna.
It's kind of remarkable, really. You don't have to be Pollyanna. I'll say it. That's remarkable because it was a big one.
Yeah.
It was a big one.
Do you want to say?
Oh, for me, I was thinking, God, I just have a something that is more recent. I have probably lots from the past, but something more recent that came in was like, oh, because I haven't had something kind of shift in a while, like that was like this. Wow, look at that. Um, I had some body work done, some cranial. I was in a cranial session. This was like a month ago, so really recent.
Oh,
And she was working on my right hip. And, I had that accident. I was in the car accident, and I have three metal pieces in my hip holding it, going across three ways, holding it together.
cool.
And so there's a lot of energies in there, but she was working on that area, and I just had this feeling come up that was being resurrected from like when I was a child.
Mm,
This feeling of when I lived in Germany, when I was in Germany, visiting Germany at this a thing called Freibad, which is like a big public swimming pool with my cousins and my family. And I was probably about 9 or something. And I felt so awkward and like I didn't belong, because I wasn't German and I wasn't really American. I was I was raised in Europe, but I was just felt like I didn't know how everything worked. It was just a bit different, the lockers and the this and that. And I just felt a little bit uncomfortable in my skin. And this memory came up of that. Like, can you believe it? Like it was so buried from
yeah.
being worked on in this area, what was contained in the pelvis, like our stability. And and I felt like, oh, I don't fit in was it was started it wasn't the first thing that started, but it sort of solidified a feeling like I don't fit in,
Mm,
you know?
mm,
And
mhm,
me having moved around a bunch, which had a beautiful aspect to it. It was adventurous and all that, as a kid, but it also kind of brought that up. When we lived in Spain, I wasn't from Spain. When we lived in Italy, I wasn't from Italy. I wasn't really German, but I was born there. And I wasn't American. When it came back to America, I had a little British accent a bit. So I didn't fit in anywhere. So there was something to it.
chill.
And I realized I'm been projecting that I don't fit in even to this day, including the spiritual understandings that I have of being in the world, but not of it, right? Because I'm not of it really. there's something really true to that, but that something collapsed. I saw through it like this house of cards.
Wow.
And suddenly I felt like I fit in everywhere. I mean, I've kind of, my mind said I did. I thought I believed that. But something inside was still a little bit like this. It wasn't just a spiritual like distance of like I'm not of the world. It was that part of it was still a little wound, a little piece.
A little girl who didn't belong.
Yeah, with an awkward looking bathing suit and a weird indoor bathing hall I didn't like that much. It was cold water. I was a sensitive little thing. I didn't like cold water. Anyway, it all collapsed and I just went, oh, I just felt so much more at home, even where I'm at, where I live now. But there was
Wow.
still a bit of a removal. This is not really my where I'm going to stay. A little that was sort of always in me a bit, the gypsy, the nomad, the spiritual nomad, the whatever. It all just kind of fell away. And so that was something that had been living there unbeknownst to me. So, this Gospel of Thomas, what you bring forth within you will save you. So that had been living in there and probably coloring things with, we don't even know it. Yeah.
Exactly. Which
Yeah.
is not only is that to me, not only is that part what's so amazing, but you're speaking to something that I know is not cannot be fully comprehended until you're there. This goes on and on and on. This spiritual opening doesn't end. So a month ago you have a new awareness that you haven't had. And how long have you been teaching?
Yeah. People don't think that awakening contains it all. And you're right. It's never ending.
It's never ending. That to me is
Yeah.
what is so beautiful to honest to God recognize. And then you can welcome, you can lie on the
Yeah.
table, you can go, well, who are you? And what are you here to tell me?
And and to not box ourselves in and protect ourselves from the idea that growth, this ongoing growth isn't to be embraced. It is to be embraced. There's nothing to be ashamed about having these big awareness ahas.
Au contraire. I mean, not to be ashamed, but to be honestly like it's like how else is wholeness going to be visceral?
Well, the reason I said that because I was just remembering somebody wrote to me and said that they, not someone I know personally, that they are confused how Adyashanti could have so much trauma from in the system if he was so enlightened or realized. And I haven't responded. Where it's these beliefs live deep inside of us, and that's what I mean by ashamed. A lot of people have stories
Okay.
of like the Ramanas and all that, that there was nothing left. There was nothing left. And I think, wasn't it Padmasambhava? You know who he is?
No.
The like this he was the first like bodhisattva. He is the master of masters in the Buddhist tradition, but Padmasambhava. He said something about until there isn't even a speck of dust left inside of my consciousness. This is never ending
Mm.
until there's not even a speck.
Mm.
That this kind of um, life is constantly in evolution,
Yes.
constantly wanting to see through misunderstandings. So I'm in agreement with you. There's nothing to be ashamed about. It's just that we have a perfection model that we say there should be, like, to even judge those who may still be going through something you know. And then the body, like that was something that was contained in a bone, the memory.
Yes, we are biology.
That's right. And but see, you feel that way, and you being a psychologist, you have that kind of understanding and deep understanding.
Yeah,
But a lot of people who come to this kind of non-dual kind of thing, not that call myself a non-dual teacher, or they're part of what's making one come to it is wanting to run away from
that's right.
shadow,
That's right.
and then not included within the awakening journey. And that's why I say it's a verb. There's no end. It's a verb,
Yeah.
the awakening journey. And that's something that's a myth we're kind of busting right now,
Mhm. Thank
people.
goodness.
Yeah,
Goodness.
right. Because we want it to be, you know, integrate all the darkness and remember our wholeness.
And I do think it is a visceral experience. It can't be a cognitive one. Wholeness.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So wrapping up, where do you find yourself these days with integration? Do you have anything to share with the audience?
Uh, Um, let's see. It's too big of an answer
Yeah.
to do at the very end of things. So
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure what to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say it's ongoing and it's uh, it it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. I think the thing is that once there is this deep, deep, deep knowing that everything is genuinely welcome and there is an ease and then a more of an ease and more of an ease the more you are at home. So I think that even though there's things that are shifting right now, I feel sort of like, well, I'm so curious.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Good
that's a wonderful way to live.
truly. And hard, don't, wouldn't you say, I mean, I would say hard one,
Yeah.
not for the faint of heart.
Hard one, meaning like you've worked hard to be in this place of openness.
Exactly,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Well,
It takes,
good.
yeah, for sure, you know, with the aid of this unconditional love that permeates everything.
Hmm. Hmm. And out of it comes a snow.
Who knew, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Did you want to answer your own question before we?
Well, just that it's not boring.
Amen.
It's not boring being here.
Oh, amen. If you had gone first, all I would have done was said ditto.
I made you have to work for it. Yeah, no, yeah, it's not boring. It's it it's always amazing, always something, even just the way Nala looks at me in the moment. There's information there. The
Wow.
jackrabbit was running through the yard and there was a fox chasing it. I was like, oh, oh, well, what's happening? I can't see what's going to happen. A big mystery.
Wow. If that isn't a perfect analogy, right?
Right. We don't know.
You
Oh,
don't know, but like, oh my God, what's happening?
oh my God.
And then who knows?
Let me tell you, it's better than watching the news.
Who doesn't get that? Oh my
Yeah, right.
God.
Um, I say that one thing I'd like to say is that it's so good to consciously be attentive to where we're placing our attention.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And that's something that is still ongoing here. It's like, where does the attention want to go?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know we're trying to wrap up, but to that point,
Yeah.
it's why I was so enchanted with the monks that traveled across the country.
Hmm.
I was so enchanted with the astronauts and their experience.
Mm.
Why I was so enchanted with Minneapolis for just that reason. Where's the attention going? Look at what else is happening right now.
Yeah.
Some beautiful things happening right now.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. And the importance of, in that, what I'm hearing from you too is the importance of um, valuing this human connection and our connection to source, to Mother Earth and to source is valuing it.
Exactly. And when you see it writ large,
Mm.
I not only pay attention, I tell everybody in my world, don't miss it. Don't miss it.
Don't miss it.
Miss it. And I don't have my head in the sand about what's going on in the world. I can tell you what's going on in the world, but I will not miss this profound awareness of who we really are.
Hmm. And this preciousness, right, of our lives,
Truly.
the preciousness of being here on this blue orb that the astronauts saw,
Exactly.
just floating in space, what we're doing to our planet. And when you look at the miracle of what this is, floating in space.
Isn't it? And they go, look at you. How you are all in this together and you are floating in nothing. And
Mhm.
what they didn't say that I would add, and nothing is holding you.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Isn't it? Like, oh my God, what else needs to be said?
Yeah, wake up.
Right. You're in
The
the middle of nothing.
sanity bell.
Yeah, yeah,
Wake up bell.
yep.
Remember how in the beginning I rang my bell?
Yeah.
Nobody, everybody, I rang this bell. You can't hear it because it noise canceling. But I've been ringing this bell a lot. Wake up bell.
Yep.
Wake up. All of us.
That-
Hmm.
yeah,
We are all of us in it together.
yeah. And at moments like this, could it be more joyful?
Yeah, exactly. Moments like this. Well, thank you for this conversation. I love meeting with you.
Me too. I loved it.
Yeah, and I hope that it's good for all of you listening. We went to some places that normally do not happen and this in my conversations with people. Getting more brave. I'm, I fit in. I'm fitting in. I belong.
Yay!
I'm taking up space.
Exactly. And this is what I have to say.
Yeah, and what we have to say, and all of us what we might want to say.
Yes.